The phone shattered against the motel room wall like a gunshot in the dead of night. Its screen fracturing into a web of accusations that Cameron could no longer ignore. He'd been halfway across the country, chasing ghosts in the humid sprawl of New Orleans, when his cousin's smug voicemail hit. "Hey, Cam. Sold the old lady's place today. Figured you'd be cool with it, proceeds, split fair." But fair? The word tasted like ash as rage boiled up. Hot and unrelenting. Because Grandma's house wasn't just bricks and beams, it was his. Willed to him in secret. A sanctuary she'd carved out for the boy she'd always known was different. The one his family pretended didn't exist. And now, in one greedy swipe, they'd erased her final act of love, leaving him to claw back what was rightfully his from the jaws of blood that had never truly felt like kin. Cameron's breath came in ragged bursts as he paced the threadbare carpet of that Fleabag motel off Bourbon Street, the humid air thick with the ghosts of jazz and regret. He'd come here on a whim, really a desperate bid to outrun the suffocating weight of his family's disdain after coming out last Christmas, when his father's Bible-thumping silence had cut deeper than any shout. Grandma Ellie had been the only one who'd pulled him aside that night, her arthritic hands cupping his face like he was still the scrawny kid she'd taught to fish in the creek behind her Indiana farmhouse. "You're my heart, Cameron," she'd whispered, eyes twinkling with that fierce, unyielding spark. "And that house, it's yours when I'm gone. Don't let them poison it." She'd slipped the will into his pocket then, notarized and ironclad, tucked away like a talisman against the storm she knew was coming. But cancer had stolen her swift. 6 months later, and he'd buried her under a sky bruised with autumn clouds, promising himself he'd honor her by living loud, by loving without apology. That promise felt like a cruel joke now. He snatched his laptop from the bed, fingers flying across the keys as he pulled up the county records online public domain. Thank God for small mercies in America's tangled web of property law. There it was, the deed transfer, dated just yesterday, from the estate of Eleanor Hayes to his Uncle Ray and Aunt Linda, who'd flipped it to some developer for a cool $250,000. No mention of him. No probate notice. Nothing. His stomach twisted as he scrolled through the grainy photos attached to the listing. Grandma's heirloom rose bushes trampled under surveyor's boots. The wraparound porch where she'd read him stories of brave knights, and hidden princes now tagged with a sold sticker like yesterday's clearance rack bargain. Rage morphed into something sharper. A grief-laced fury that propelled him to book the first flight back to Bloomington, Indiana, the buckle of the Midwest where secrets festered like untreated wounds. The plane ride was a blur of turbulence and tears he blinked back fiercely. The kind of raw ache that only comes when betrayal slices through the thinnest vein. By the time he touched down in Indianapolis and rented a beat-up Chevy that smelled of stale coffee and regret, dawn was breaking over the flatlands, painting the cornfields in hues of reluctant gold. He drove straight to the old Hauser, what was left of a tires crunching over gravel as the realtor's under contract sign loomed like a gravestone. The place looked smaller somehow, shrunken under the weight of abandonment, its blue paint peeling like forgotten promises. Cameron killed the engine and stepped out, the chill October air nipping at his skin through his thin jacket, carrying the faint scent of burning leaves from some neighbor's yard. He pressed a palm to the front door, feeling the wood's familiar grain, and whispered, "I'm here, Gran. They won't get away with this." But they almost did. His phone buzzed incessantly as he stood there, texts from his sister Mia, the golden child who'd always towed the family line. "Cam, where are you? Uncle Ray says you need to chill. It's done." Then his father, "Boy, don't make this ugly. Family sticks together." Ugly. The irony burned hotter than the coffee he'd chugged at the airport. Cameron ignored them, dialing the one number he trusted more than his own blood, Alex, his partner of 2 years. the steady hand in the chaos of his unraveling world. They'd met at a pride rally in Chicago. Alex's laugh cutting through the chants like sunlight through storm clouds. A broad-shouldered graphic designer with ink-sleeved arms and eyes that saw straight to the soft underbelly of Cameron's defenses. "Babe," Alex answered on the second ring. Voice husky from sleep, but laced with that unwavering calm. "Talk to me. What's burning?" Cameron spilled it all in a torrent. Words tumbling out as he slid down to sit on the porch steps. The cold seeping through his jeans. Alex listened without interruption. The way he always did. Until Cameron's voice cracked on the part about Grandma's will, the one she'd made him swear to keep secret until her passing. Knowing his family's greed would devour anything not nailed down by tradition. "They sold it out from under you," Alex said finally, tone steel-wrapped in sorrow. "That's not just theft. That's erasure. But we've got this. Cam. Fly back here first style, pull strings with my law school buddy in Bloomington. We're fighting." That "we" was the lifeline Cameron clung to as he dragged himself to a nearby diner. The kind of greasy spoon where locals nursed hangovers and grudges over plates of biscuits and gravy. He ordered black coffee and stared at the want ads in the local paper. Mind racing through the logistics. Contesting the sale meant proving fraud or undue influence. But with the will hidden away in his safe deposit box back in Chicago, he had a shot. The developer hadn't closed yet, 30 days to back out. If he could lawyer up fast. His fork scraped the plate absently as memories flooded in. Summers with Grandma Ellie. Her teaching him to bake her famous pecan pies in that sunlit kitchen. Her quiet nods when he'd confessed his first crush on the neighbor boy at 15. Her fierce hug when he'd sobbed about his father's rejection. "Love's the only inheritance worth a damn. Sugar," she'd say, her southern lilt softening the edges of their Hoosier life. And now, her gift, the house she'd bought with her widow's pension. The one refuge from his parents' narrow world was fodder for his uncle's McMansion dreams. By noon, Cameron was back on the road, heading to his parents' split level in the suburbs. The place that had never felt like home. He pulled into the driveway behind his cousin's shiny SUV, steeling himself as he knocked. Mia answered, her bleach blonde hair pulled into a hasty ponytail, eyes widening in feigned surprise. "Cam, you're back early. Come in. Dad's in the den." She hugged him awkwardly, the scent of her vanilla perfume cloying. And he wondered not for the first time how blood could run so cold. Inside, the air was thick with the aftermath of Sunday brunch, plates of half-eaten casserole on the coffee table. The TV droning some football pregame show. Uncle Ray lounged in the recliner, nursing a beer, his paunch straining against his flannel shirt, while Aunt Linda fluttered about with a dish rag, avoiding his gaze. "Cameron," Ray boomed, setting his bottle down with a clink that echoed like judgment. "Heard you got my message. Look, kid, times are tough. That old heap was eating up taxes. And with Ellie gone." He trailed off, shrugging as if selling a stranger's soul was just Tuesday's chore. Cameron's fists clenched at his sides, nails biting into palms. But he held it together, voice steady as a surgeon's scalpel. "It wasn't yours to sell, Uncle. Grandma left it to me. Wills and mine improbated last year. Quiet like she wanted." The room went still. The only sound the distant sizzle of bacon from the kitchen. Linda's rag froze mid-wipe. Mia's mouth forming a perfect O. And Ray's face flushed beet red, veins bulging in his neck like overfilled hoses. "You lyin'?" Ray sputtered, lurching to his feet. "That old bat wouldn't cut us out. We're family blood." The word hung there, weaponized. And Cameron felt the old wounds reopen. The ones from high school when whispers about his phase had turned to outright exile after he'd brought a date to prom. His father emerged from the hallway then, arms crossed over his broad chest. The man who'd once tossed his baseball glove in the trash rather than watch him cry over a boy's rejection. "Son," he said, voice low and laced with that paternal thunder. "If this is true, it's a misunderstanding. We'll fix it. But dragging lawyers into family, that's not how we do things." "Not how you do things," Cameron shot back, the dam breaking at last, words spilling hot and unfiltered. "You mean not how you erase the parts that don't fit your perfect straight-arrow life. Grandma knew you all treated her like a nuisance after Grandpa died, leeching off her checks while she scrimped to keep that house. It was her piece. And mine. And you sold it like scrap because I'm not the son you wanted, the gay one who dared to love a man instead of playing house with some girl from church." The air crackled with the unsaid, years of tension coiling like a spring. Mia gasped, hand to her throat. But Cameron pressed on, voice rising with the catharsis of truth long buried. "I have the papers. The will's airtight. And if you don't unwind that sale today, I'll see you in court for every penny. Plus the pain you've caused since the day I was born different." Ray lunged forward then, face twisted in fury. But his father stepped between them, hand heavy on Cameron's shoulder, not in comfort, but warning. "Enough," the old man growled. "Get out. Cameron, sort your issues elsewhere." The dismissal landed like a slap, and Cameron wrenched free, storming out into the crisp air, chest heaving as he peeled down the driveway. Tears blurred the road ahead, but beneath the hurt burned a resolve forged in fire. This wasn't just about a house anymore. It was about claiming the legacy of a woman who'd loved him wholly, unashamedly, in a world that demanded he shrink. And with Alex waiting in Chicago, ready to fight beside him, Cameron knew he wouldn't shrink, not ever again. He drove aimlessly for hours, the flat Indiana landscape blurring into a tapestry of regret and rebirth, until his phone lit up with Alex's face on the screen, a selfie from last summer. Them tangled on a beach blanket, laughing under a sky vast as possibility. "Pull over, babe," Alex said when he answered, voice cutting through the static of Cameron's thoughts. "I booked you a room at the Hyatt downtown, and I called Jordan's meeting us at the airport tomorrow. Expects a slam dunk case." Jordan was Alex's old roommate from Northwestern Law, a sharp-as-a-tack queer advocate who'd taken down bigger fish than greedy relatives. Relief washed over Cameron like cool rain, and he found himself veering toward the interstate, the skyline of Bloomington fading in the rearview as he headed north. That night, checked into the sterile comfort of the hotel, Cameron spread Grandma's will across the desk, the paper yellowed but resolute, her looping script a lifeline in the storm. He traced her signature, remembering her final days in the hospice, how she'd gripped his hand and murmured, "Fight for what's yours, my brave boy. Love will light the way." Alex arrived by midnight, slipping into the room with takeout tie and that grin that could melt glaciers, pulling Cameron into an embrace that smelled of city rain and unwavering faith. They ate cross-legged on the bed, Alex's knee brushing his. And for the first time since the voicemail, Cameron felt the knot in his chest loosen just a fraction. "Tell me everything," Alex prompted, popping a spring roll into his mouth, eyes soft but probing. Cameron did, the words flowing easier now, laced with the humor of hindsight, like how Ray had once tried to pray the gay away with a weekend retreat that ended in Cameron hitchhiking home. Alex laughed, but it was the kind that held space for the pain, his hand finding Cameron's across the sheets. "They're scared," he said simply, "of you building something real, outside their control. But Gran, she saw the man you are, the one who loves fiercely, who turns wounds into wisdom." He leaned in then, lips brushing Cameron's temple, and the kiss that followed was slow, grounding, a reminder that love wasn't just survival. It was the spark that ignited revolutions. By morning, Jordan met them in the lobby. A wiry woman in her 40s with a buzz cut and a briefcase that screamed, "Don't fuck with me." Over coffee in the hotel cafe, she pored over the documents, nodding approvingly. Quiet probate was smart avoids family drama until it's too late for them to contest. The sale's conditional. We file an injunction today. Halt the closing. Developer will fold once they see the fraud angle undue influence on an elderly woman. No notice to the heir. Her eyes flicked to Cameron, warm with solidarity. And the personal side. We can weave an emotional distress if it gets ugly. But honey, with this paper trail, it's yours. The drive to the county clerk's office was charged. Alex's hand on Cameron's thigh a steady anchor as they navigated the bureaucratic maze. Filing the paperwork felt like hurling a gauntlet form stamped. Notices served via certified mail to Ray's doorstep. By afternoon, the lawyer for the developer called Jordan. Voice oily with negotiation, back out for a settlement. Or face the suit. Cameron listened on speaker. Heart pounding. As she countered with steel, full reversion. Plus costs. Deal. The man grumbled. And just like that, the house was his again pending the unwind. But victory tasted bittersweet as they returned to the hotel. The high crashing into the reality of fractured family. Mia texted an apology emoji. His father, a curt, "We'll talk." But Ray. Radio silence. A void that echoed louder than words. Cameron stood at the window, overlooking the city lights twinkling like distant stars. Alex's arms wrapping around him from behind. "You did it," Alex murmured, chin on his shoulder. "For her. For us." Us, the word bloomed in Cameron's chest. A garden grandma would have tended with joy. That night, they made love with a tenderness born of battle. Bodies entwined like roots reclaiming soil. Whispers of forever mingling with the rain pattering against the glass. Weeks blurred into a rhythm of repairs and revelations. Cameron moved into the house full-time. Alex commuting on weekends. Their laughter echoing through rooms dusted with memory. He hired a crew to restore the porch, planting new rose bushes from Grand's favorite nursery, each thorn a testament to resilience. Mia showed up one rainy Saturday. Tentative. A bottle of wine in hand, not the apology he'd craved. But a start. "I didn't know about the will," she admitted over mugs of tea in the kitchen. Eyes downcast. Ray pushed it, said it was for the family pot. "But after. I see it now. You're braver than us." They talked for hours, skirting the edges of his queerness. Her questions halting but genuine. And when she left, hugging him fierce, Cameron felt the first crack in the wall between them. His father came next, unannounced, toolbox in hand, gruff as ever. Heard the roof leaks. He muttered, climbing the ladder without preamble. Cameron watched from below. Tools passed up in silence. Until dusk fell and they shared a beer on the steps. "I failed you," the old man said finally, voice rough as gravel. "Thought love meant molding you my way. But Ellie's ghost. She's louder than my pride." Tears tracked down weathered cheeks. And Cameron's followed. The hug that came after, awkward but real, father and son. Mending what time and fear had torn. Ray never appeared. His absence a scar. But in its place grew space for new bonds. Alex proposing over Thanksgiving dinner. Rings simple as their vows would be. Under the chandelier Gran had hung herself. The wedding was small. In the backyard come spring. Wildflowers nodding in approval as Cameron and Alex exchanged rings forged from Gran's old silverware. Mia stood as best woman. His father walking him down an aisle of petals. The house alive with guests who'd chosen love over lineage. As vows rang out in all storms. "I choose you," Cameron glanced at the porch, feeling Ellie's smile in the breeze. Her legacy, not just walls, but the courage to build a life unapologetic. And in that moment, with Alex's hand in his. The world felt vast. Julia home reclaimed. A heart unchained. The summer sun baked the Indiana soil into cracked clay as Cameron knelt in the garden. Dirt caking his nails. Coaxing life from the stubborn earth where Grandma's roses had once bloomed defiant. It had been 3 months since the sale unraveled. 3 months of blueprints and contractors turning the house from relic to refuge. But the real work, the soul mending, happened in quiet hours like these, when the past whispered through the leaves. Alex was inside, sketching logos for a queer youth center in Bloomington. His freelance gig evolving into something bigger. A beacon for kids like Cameron had been, lost boys navigating families that loved conditionally. The ring on Cameron's finger caught the light. A simple band etched with roots and wings. And he smiled, tracing it absently, the weight of it grounding him against the what-ifs that still crept in at night. What if Ray fought back? The question gnawed like a persistent weed. Uncle Ray had slunk into shadow after the developer backed out, muttering threats through Mia about suing for alienation. But Jordan's cease and desist had silenced him for now. Cameron straightened, wiping sweat from his brow, and glanced at the mailbox, half expecting another lawyer's envelope. Instead, it held a postcard from New Orleans, a jazz trumpet gleaming under Mardi Gras beads, with a scrawled note from an old friend. Heard you won the war. Proud of you, brother. Come celebrate. The whimsy tugged at him, a reminder that life pulsed beyond grudges. But he tucked it away, turning back to the soil. Celebration could wait. Roots first. Alex emerged then, barefoot on the grass, a sketchpad under one arm and 2 iced teas in hand. You're turning into a regular Farmer John, he teased, handing over the glass, condensation beating cold against Cameron's palm. Their fingers brushed, lingering, and Cameron pulled him down for a kiss that tasted of lemon and lazy afternoon soft. Unhurried, the kind that stitched wounds without words. Jordan called, Alex said when they parted, settling beside him on the blanket. Ray's dropping the countersuit. Too broke to lawyer up, and the family's pressuring him to back off. Relief flooded Cameron, sharp and sweet, but laced with the ache of what could have been a united front. Not this fractured mosaic. They spent the day like that, weeding and dreaming. Alex's head on Cameron's lap as he read aloud from a dog-eared copy of Audre Lorde's essays. Words like, your silence will not protect you, hanging heavy in the humid air. It was Lorde who'd inspired Alex's center idea, a space for stories untold. And Cameron watched him now, animated, hands gesturing wild, loving the fire that burned in him, the same fire that had drawn Cameron across a crowded rally 2 years back. Back then, Cameron had been adrift, post-coming out, nursing bruises from family fallout in a tiny Chicago apartment. Alex had been the volunteer handing out water, his smile a lifeline, and by night's end, they'd shared falafel under streetlights, confessions spilling like rain. Now, as dusk painted the sky in purples and golds, they grilled burgers on the new patio, the sizzle mingling with cricket's chorus. Mia arrived uninvited but welcome, bearing pie from the diner pecan. Gran's recipe, a peace offering baked with tentative hands. Dad sent it, she said, sliding into a chair. Her smile shy. Says he's fixing the fence tomorrow. If you'll have him. Cameron nodded, throat tight, and they ate under strings of fairy lights. Conversation meandering from wedding plans to her latest breakup, the air lighter than it had been in years. When she left, hugging them both, Alex squeezed Cameron's hand. Healing's messy, but look at you, Gardner. Groom-to-be. Warrior. Gran smiling somewhere. Sleep came easy that night, tangled in sheets that smelled of them. But dawn brought storm clouds literal and not. Cameron's phone rang at 6. His father's voice on the line, edged with urgency. Ray's at the house. armed with papers. Get here quick. Heart slamming. Cameron threw on clothes. Alex rousing bleary-eyed to drive. The truck eating miles as thunder grumbled overhead. They arrived to find Ray's pickup skewed across the driveway, his bulk looming on the porch. A sheaf of documents clutched like a shield. You think you can steal from us? Ray bellowed as Cameron stepped out. Rain spitting from the sky. That was fake. I had it checked. Ellie's mind was gone at the end. The lie hung rotten, and Cameron's blood boiled. But Alex's hand on his arm steadied him. Easy, he murmured. We've got proof. Jordan arrived minutes later. Umbrella in one hand, recorder in the other. Her presence a force field. Mr. Hayes, she said coolly. Trespassing on private property. And that check. From a notary who lost his license for forgery. Care to explain to the judge? Ray blustered, face purple, but deflated under her gaze, crumpling the papers as rain soaked them to pulp. This ain't over. He spat, climbing into his truck. But the peel-out of gravel said otherwise a retreat. Tail between legs. The adrenaline crash left Cameron shaking, collapsing onto the swing as Alex fetched towels. He's cornered. Jordan confirmed. Reviewing the dashcam footage, Alex had rigged post-threat. Harassment charges if he tries again. But Cam, this is the endgame. Signed a quitclaim today. Sever any estate ties. Make it yours. Clean. They did. In the kitchen over coffee. The pens scratch a final severing. By noon, the storm broke. Sun-piercing clouds like grace unearned. And Cameron felt lighter. Unburdened. The house truly his sanctuary. That afternoon, they drove to Lake Monroe. The water a mirror for skies clearing. And swam until exhaustion. Bodies buoyant in the chill. On the shore, wrapped in towels, Alex pulled a small box from his bag, not the ring again, but a keychain, a tiny Victorian house charm. Engraved hours. For the future, he said, voice thick. Weddings. Kids, maybe adopted rainbows. Whatever we build. Cameron kissed him fierce. Salt and tears mingling. Vowing silently to Gran, I've got this. Love's winning. Back home, the garden thrived under their care. Roses budding pink and proud, mirroring the bloom in Cameron's chest. His father showed up weekly, hammer in hand. Conversations deepening stories of his own hidden doubts. A youth stifled by expectation. Wish I'd been braver for you, he admitted one evening. Tools down. Beer shared. Forgiveness wasn't instant, but it grew, vine-like, twisting toward light. Mia dove into planning the wedding, her enthusiasm a bridge, introducing them to her circle of friendsome queer. Some allies widening the family Cameron chose. Fall crept in with crisp leaves and wedding fever. The house aglow with twinkle lights and toasts. On the eve, Cameron walked the rooms alone. Gran's photo on the mantel watching, her eyes twinkling approval. Tomorrow, vows under the oaks. Alex's hand in his a life reclaimed. Loved fiercely. And as he blew out the candle, whispering thanks, the world felt whole. Roots deep, wings wide. Winter's grip loosened slow on Bloomington that year. Snow melting into muddy rivulets that fed the creek behind the house, where Cameron and Alex now trudged, boots squelching, breath fogging in the chill. It was their ritual. Post-wedding, Sunday hikes to the old fishing spot. Poles slung over shoulders like talismans, casting lines into waters that held more memories than fish. The ceremony had been magic oaks draped in tulle. Mia's toast cracking wise about, finally snagging a keeper. His father's nod of quiet pride as he gave Cameron away. Alex in that slim tux. Vows murmured like secrets, you are my home. In every storm. And now, 6 months wed. The honeymoon glow lingered. tempered by the grind of life, the center's grand opening looming. Cameron's new job at the local library curating queer history archives. A quiet revolution in the heartland. But peace, Cameron had learned, was fragile as first frost. The letter arrived mid-March. Crisp envelope from a Cincinnati firm. Ray's name stamped bold. Intent to contest the will on grounds of incapacity. It read, Jordan's faxback scoffing at the bluff, but warning of delays. He's scraping bottom. But it'll cost you time and peace. Cameron crumpled it by the fireplace. Flames licking the edges as Alex rubbed his back. Murmuring, we burn it together. Let him rage. We've got the truth. They did. That night. Bodies fierce and affirming. Reclaiming space in the bed that had once held only ghosts. Spring unfurled defiant. Tulips pushing through soil like hope insistent. And the queer center opened with fanfare, rainbow flags snapping in breeze. Kids from Bloomington High milling tentative. Eyes wide at walls papered in stories, trans elders' portraits. Drag queens' quips. Cameron's own essay on Grand's legacy framed proud. Alex's designs breathed life into it. Murals of intertwined hands in every hue. And on opening night, as speeches echoed, a boy no older than 16 cornered Cameron. Voice small, my dad's like yours was. Says it's a phase. But seeing this, maybe it's not. Cameron hugged him then. Fierce. Whispering, it's not. And you're not alone. The kid's smile cracked the world's hardness. A fissure letting light in. Yet Ray's shadow lengthened. Mia called frantic one April evening. Voice hushed, he's drinking heavy. Talking lawsuit like it's gospel. Says the house should have been his, Gran owed him for taking care of her. Cameron paced the kitchen. Phone hot against ear. Alex mouthing, stay calm, from the table. She took care of herself. He snapped. And us leeches circling her checks. Tell him to drop it. Mia. Before he loses more than pride. She promised to try. But doubt lingered. A chill wind through open windows. It culminated in May. A muggy night when thunder rolled distant. And tires crunched gravel uninvited. Cameron peered through curtains. Heart sinking at Ray's silhouette. Bottle in hand. Swaying on the lawn. Alex barred the door. But Ray pounded anyway. Slurring curses, thieves. Queers stealing family. The word weaponized. Venom dripping. And Cameron's resolve cracked. Flinging open to face the storm. Get off my land. Uncle. Or I call the cops. Ray lunged. Wild swing missing. But the shove sent him sprawling. Mud splattering. Sirens wailed soon after. Neighbors' lights flicking on. And Ray was cuffed. Snarling epithets that cut deeper than fists. The arraignment was a circus local paper sniffing scandal. Headlines twisting, family feud turns violent. Jordan spun at gold, restraining order granted. Counterclaim for assault folding Ray's suit like cheap origami. But the toll etched lines on Cameron's face. Sleep fractured by what-ifs. Alex held him through it. Dawn patrols with coffee and kisses. But one night, as rain lashed windows, Cameron broke. What if he poisons them all against us? Dad. Mia gone again. Alex cupped his face. Thumbs tracing jaw. They choose you now. And if not, we build our own constellation. Brighter. Healing came in layers. His father testified at the hearing. Voice steady. Ray's always been bitter. But Cameron's my son, gay or not. He's earned that house tenfold. The words landed like balm. And afterward, over pie at the diner, they talked real as old man's regrets. A hidden affair in youth that mirrored Cameron's secrets. Fear's a thief. He said, don't let it rob you twice. Mia followed, bringing her new boa soft-spoken teacher with kind eyes, apologies laced with action, volunteering at the center. Bridging gaps. Summer swelled. The creek alive with fireflies. and Cameron proposed an expansion, Grand's Kitchen. Community suppers for queer families. Recipes shared like heirlooms. Alex designed the space. Heart-shaped tables under skylights. And the first night buzzed strangers becoming kin over Ellie's pecan pie. A trans couple from Indy shared their escape story. Laughter mingling with tears. And Cameron, arm around Alex, felt the circle widen. Love's geometry infinite. Ray's trial loomed fall. But surrender came swiftly bargained for probation. Assets seized to cover damages. He wrote once. Letter trembling. Hate blinded me. Forgive. Probably not. But sorry for the boy you were. Cameron burned it unread. Ashes to the garden. Feeding roses red as redemption. Winter returned gentle. Snow blanketing the house like forgiveness. On Christmas Eve, family gathered not perfect, but present, Dad carving turkey. Mia toasting to chosen paths. Alex's hand warm in Cameron's. As carols played, Cameron slipped outside, breath clouding under stars. Grand's spirit in the hush. We made it, he whispered. And in the warmth within, love echoed back, yes, we did. The new year dawned crisp. Resolutions whispered over black coffee as Cameron and Alex mapped the center's winter workshops, poetry, slams for shy voices. Legal clinics for name changes. All under the banner of Roots Reclaimed. The house thrummed with purpose now. Spare room converted to office space. Walls pinned with donor letters and kid drawings, stick figures holding hands in rainbows. Cameron's library gig flourished too. Curating exhibits on Midwest queer icons, forgotten poets from Bloomington's hidden bars. Activists who'd marched before Stonewall echoed here. It was work that stitched him whole, thread by thread. But the scar from Ray's outburst pulsed occasional. A reminder that battles won didn't erase wars fought. February brought Valentine's and a surprise. Alex's sketch for their first adoption consult. A whimsical family portrait with 2 dads and a gap-toothed kid. Eyes hopeful. Not tomorrow, Alex said over dinner. Pasta twirling on forks. But soon. Imagine teaching some little one to fish in the creek. Cameron's heart swelled. Visions dancing bedtime stories from Grand's shelf. Scraped knees bandaged with laughter. But doubt nipped, after Ray. The world still sharp. Alex leaned across the table. Kiss sealing it, then we blunt it together. Armor of us. Spring tiptoed in with dogwoods blushing pink. And the center hosted its first retreat weekend for queer elders and youth. Bridging generations in the house's sunroom. Cameron facilitated circles. Voices unfolding like petals, an old man's tale of 1950s raids. A teen's TikTok anthems of defiance. Grand's photo watched from the mantel. And when a grandmotherly figure clasped Cameron's hand, you remind me of my boy. Lost to silence, tears came unbidden. Catharsis sweet as sap rising. But legacies pull tugged unexpected. A letter from Ray's lawyer arrived May. Not threat, but olive branch. Client wishes to convey family quilt. Willed to estate. No strings. The package followed. Fabric faded but intricate stars and stripes in threadbare blues. Grand stitches evident in every seam. Cameron draped it over the bed. Fingers tracing patterns. Memories flooding. Childhood forts beneath it. Secrets shared in flashlight glow. Alex found him there. Wrapped in wool and whist. Pulling him close. It's a door. If you want. Or a curtain. Drawn. They left it open. For now. Summer sizzled. Creek swims cooling fevered nights. And wedding anniversaries marked with creekside picnic swine. Whispers. Alex's fingers tracing tattoos of intertwined vines. Mia announced her engagement then. Ring flashing over burgers. Pulling Cameron aside. Walk me down. Like Dad did you. The ask mended more. And he agreed. Practicing steps in the garden. Laughter echoing. Fall Harvested Bounty Center's gala under harvest moon. Auctioning Alex's art. Proceeds funding scholarships. Cameron emceed. Voice steady. Toasting to houses built on love. Not blood. Bids soared. Donors teary. And in the crowd, his father clapped loudest. Arm around a date widow from church. Smile shy. Progress. Incremental as seasons. Winter whispered warnings. Flu season sidelining Alex. Cameron nursing with soup and stories. Vigil tender. Recovery brought clarity. Adoption papers filed. Home study passed with flying colors. Ideal environment. The social worker noted. Eyeing the quilt-folded couch. Wait lists loomed long. But hope rooted deep. Spring 2026 bloomed miracles. A call at dawn. Sibling group. Boys 4 and 6. Trauma histories. But hearts wide. Paperwork whirlwind. Court dates blurring. And by June, the house echoed with small feet Elias. Freckled and fierce. Theo. Shy with curls. First night. Bunk beds creak. Cameron reading Grand's tales. Alex humming lullabies. Quilt tinting over them all. Challenges crashed waves nightmares. Schoolyard taunts. Therapy marathons, but love lapped steady. Mia's wedding dance joy. Cameron's arm steady. Her vows echoing his own. Ray appeared distant. A nod from Pew's back. Peace fragile but held. Years folded like quilt panels. Boys growing tall. Center expanding to satellite sites. Alex's mural statewide. Cameron's book launched, Hearts Unchained, a queer legacy, grand story woven through. Bestseller in niche circles. On 10th anniversary. Creek Bank picnic. Kids splashing. Alex renewed vows impromptu, still my home. Stars wheeled above. Grand's light in every one. Legacy alive in laughter. Love's endless stitch. Decades turn brought silver threads to Cameron's temples. The house sagging gracious under ivy. But unbowed much like him. Elias. Now 14. Towered gangly. Debating queer theory in high school club Alex mentored. Theo. 12. Sketched comics of superheroes with 2 dads. Capes fluttering rainbow. The center had burgeoned into a network. Bloomington hub pulsing with after-school programs. Support groups humming late. Cameron's archive evolved to digital vaults. Stories digitized for eternity. His book spawning sequels, Threads of Us. Quilting family tales. Yet time's tide tugged regrets. Ray's death in a car wreck. Unspoken words buried with him. At the sparse funeral, Cameron stood graveside. Quilt folded under arm. Offering it to Mia wordless. She took it. Tears salting earth. Hug fierce, he knew. At end. Said you won fair. Closure. Bitter as black coffee. But sipped slow. Summer scorched. Family road trip to New Orleans callback to that fateful jaunt. Boys wide-eyed at beignets and bayous. On Bourbon Street. Cameron spun Elias in street dance. Theo snapping pics. Alex's laugh free. Hotel nights tangled nostalgic. Whispers of remember when. Fueling fires banked but bright. Fall harvested milestones. Elias's first crush. Boy from debate team. Awkward dinner invite navigated gentle. Like you and Dad. He said. Cheeks flushed. Cameron nodded. Heart full, exactly. Be brave. Kid. Theo's art show followed. Murals echoing Alex's. Critics praising familial fire. Winter wrapped gentle. Holidays hybrid dads new family blending with theirs. Toasts to absent gran. You'll log burned. Stories swapped. Quilt centerpiece. Spring 2035 whispered legacies echo. Center's 20th gala. Cameron keynoting. Voice weathered but warm. From stolen house to shared homes we build where hurt once stood. Applause thundered. Alex's eyes shining from wings. But curveballs flew, Diagnosis. Alex prostate. Early but insistent. Consults blurred. Treatments mapped. Cameron's hand anchor through scans. We've faced worse. Alex joked. Bald head gleaming under chemo lights. Boys rallied. Elias cooking fails. Theo drawing get-well cards fierce. Summer tested. Vigils and hospital hush. But remission came autumn. Bells ringing victory. Recovery slow. Walks creekside rebuilding strength. Cameron's arm steady. Fall bloomed gratitude. Family cruise. Waves lulling. Sunsets painting vows renewed. Elias came out then. Over deck rails. Arms open wide. Hugs layered. Love's chorus. Winter healed. Snow soft. And by New Year, Alex sketched again family portrait. Grayer but grinning. Cameron watched. Quilt over knees. Grand's whisper, well done. My boy. Years cascaded, boys to college. Elias activist in Chicago. Theo artist in Austin. Grandkids trickled adopted nieces. Nephews via Mia's Linehouse raucous holidays. 40s faded to 50s. Cameron gray-maned. Alex's ink faded but grip firm. Center endowed. Archives National. Book tour finale in Bloomington. Homecoming sold out. 60th wedding vow renewal. Backyard oaks ancient witnesses. Family vast. Rings exchanged anew. Quilt canopy. Grand's roses rampant. Legacy. Not house alone. But heart's house loves quiet thunder. Rolling eternal. Autumn leaves carpeted the creek path in golds and crimsons as Cameron, now 62, leaned on his cane arthritic souvenir from decades dancing life's edges. Alex, beside him, arm looped steady. Their steps synced after 40 years. A rhythm worn smooth as creek stones. The boys' men now flanked them. Elias with his husband and toddler in tow. Theo cradling his partner's newborn. The air alive with babble and birdsong. This was their pilgrimage. Annual. To the fishing hole where vows had rooted. Poles idle symbols now. Conversation the Real catch. The center thrived autonomous. Director a Theo protege. Walls expanded to honor Grand's kitchen ethos meals for migrants. Circles for elders fading. Cameron consulted sporadic. Voice gravelly but gold. Stories mined deeper with age. His archive digitized global. Queries from scholars piecing queer Midwest mosaics. His books dog-eared on syllabi. Yet age's mirror reflected fractures mended crooked, dad's passing 5 years back. Graveside quilt draped. Regrets aired final. Mia's cancer battle. Fierce fight lost slow. Her last words, you showed me brave. Bro. The loss is layered. But light pierced grandkids' questions curious. Tell us Grand's tale. Cameron spinning yarns embroidered richer. Winter wrapped 2045 in frost lace. Holidays hybrid virtual for distant kin. But core gathered, fire crackling. Quilt fort for tots. Alex's stories animated still. Elias announced run for city council. Platform queer equity. Cameron's nod proud, fight smart. Son. Love loud. Spring stirred wanderlust, trip to New Orleans. Full circle. Boys kids mesmerized by jazz funerals. Second lines snaking joyful. Hotel balcony. Alex and Cameron swayed slow. Ghosts of youth tangoing. Still my storm chaser. Alex murmured. Kiss salt tanged. Summer scorched memories. Creek baptism for newest grandbaby. Water sparkling blessing. Elias's campaign kicked. Rallies rippling. Cameron stumping small towns. Voice carrying Grand's fire. Houses aren't given. They're claimed. Fall elected victory. Elias sworn in. Arm around Cameron for photo op. Headlines Legacy's son. Pride swelled. Tempered by Alex's cough persistent. Checked. Winter diagnosed late. Lung. Shadow from smoke ringed youth. Consults cruel. Prognosis whispered. Family rallied. Hospice homeward. House haven once more. Spring 2046 bloomed fragile, Alex fading. Bed by window, roses nodding. Cameron read Lord aloud. Hand clasped. Boys rotating vigils. Grandkids drawings taped hopeful. No regrets. Alex rasped one dawn. Cameron choked. Only not sooner. Last breath, sunset gilded. Peace profound. Funeral creekside. Ashes scattered fishing hole. Eulogies woven love's quilt. Cameron spoke last. He was my roots. My wings fly free. Love. Summer mourned quiet. Walked solitary. Cane tapping echo. Center memorial mural. Alex immortal ink. Fall healed incremental. Elias's bill passed. Protections queer youth. Named Hayes Alexander Act. Cameron signed copy tear streaked. Winter wrapped solitary but not a lone family orbiting. Grandkids filling spaces. Quilt overlap. Cameron traced stitches. Grand's voice. Keep building. Spring 2047 stirred. Blind date nudged by Mia's ghost voice in Elias. Dinner with widower historian. Eyes kind. Sparks tentative. But talk flowed archives deep. Summer deepened. Dates creek walks. Hands brushing. Second acts. He quipped. Laugh rusty. Fall committed. Rings simple. Backyard vows under oaks. Family cheering. Legacy looped. Love's circle unbroken. Decades danced. Grandkids wed. Greats toddled. Cameron 90th. Center namesake wing. Book reissued forward Elias. Winter 2060 called gentle. Bed quilt wrapped. Family haloed. Last breath starlit. Gran and Alex waiting. Legacy. Hearts housed eternal. Love's house standing tall. Dawn's first light filtered through lace curtains. The house sighing soft as Cameron stirred. 85 now. Bones brittle but spirit unbent. The quilt patched anew with grandkids' swatches draped his lap in the rocker by window. Roses beyond still blooming stubborn. Tended by Theo's daughter. A botanist with her grandfather's eye for roots. Elias governed state senate. Theo's gallery famed for queer narratives. Their broods scattered but tethered. Video calls bridging miles. The center. A campus now. Hayes Alexander sprawling. Scholarships in Alex's name funding dreams deferred no more. Morning's ritual, coffee black. Journal open to pen fragments memoir sequel. Echoes unfaded. Truth's polished time's lens. Pages filled with Ray's redemption, arc imagined. Mia's laugh lines etched. Dad's gruff graces. Age gifted clarity. Forgiveness not absolution. But release. Spring whispered courtships past. Widower George. 10 years companion. Past sudden heart. Leaving bookshelves gaps and garden plots shared. Solitude suited now. Chosen. Filled by visits Elias's policy rants. Theo's sketches gifted. Summer scorched travels. Train to Chicago pride. Grandkids marching. Cameron, Grand Marshal float. Kane raised rainbow wrapped. Chance, love wins. Echoed youth's rally. Full circle joy. Fall harvested honors. Library names archive wing. Plaque, Cameron's corner. Launch tearful. Stories read aloud grands will tale. Crowd hushed. Winter wrap 2055 in snow hush. Holidays virtual augmented. Holograms kin toasting. Cough lingered. Checked, pneumonia. Treatable but frail frame rebelled. Spring fought, hospital beeps. Boys bedside. Grandkids FaceTiming songs. Remission summer. Walks aided. Air sweet. Fall deepened bonds. Great grandbaby born. Named Eleanor. Tiny fist clutching finger. Cycle. Cameron murmured. Heart full. Winter 2060 called reckoning. Declined swift. Hospice home. Quilt tent. Family rotated. Stories looped new Orleans jaunt. Wedding dances. Creek splashes. Elias' final vigil. You built us. Dad. Rest. Kiss forehead. Exit quiet. Theo next. Love you infinite. Sketch left. Family portrait eternal. Grandkids chorus lullabies. Eleanor's coo soft. Dawn broke. Breath eased. Vision grants porch her smile. Alex's hand extended. Coming. Loves. Legacy lingered. House deeded trust. Center forever. Books bound timeless. Love structure. Unbreakable. Heart's architecture soaring.